Welcome, everybody. We're really excited today to present to you how to automate your tagging with the TagBot. We've got a great lineup of things today to cover this exciting new product. And if you haven't seen the TagBot, you need to pay attention because the way you are tagging your shirts, private labeling them, is about to change. This has really been an interesting journey for M&R, working with Livingston Systems and watching this product develop. And it's really gotten to a point where there's a lot of industry excitement around this. And you could see that just from some of the recent just little videos we put up that have gotten an enormous response. People are super excited to see this product. And I'm really excited to have everybody that's behind the product today available here. And we want to welcome everybody. We're going to wait just a couple of minutes to let everybody join the webinar, because sometimes it takes people a little while to get registered and get in. So there's a couple of, we just want to do some housekeeping today. And what we're doing with this webinar, we want you feel free to chat, say hi, talk, chat with each other behind the scenes for the webinar. But if you have questions, there's a tab. You're going to see a tab that's a Q&A tab. Please ask your questions through the Q&A tab if possible, because we want to be able to get to as many of your questions about the TagBot as possible. We're going to answer questions at the end after we're showing a couple of interesting videos about the TagBot and show how it works. And then we'll be open to take your questions through the Q&A tab. And then if we don't get to everybody's questions, we will answer everybody's questions. We may have to email people individually, just so make sure you put your email in when you register so that we can do that. So without spending too much more time, I want to welcome everybody today. And then I want to have everybody go around and introduce themselves. So if you're not, if they don't know you, then we can find out who you are and what you do. So I'm Tom Trimmingham. I'm the Director of Marketing for M&R Companies. And if you're not that familiar with M&R, we're world's largest installer of automated screen printing and digital printing equipment. And why don't we go to Darren? Darren, why don't you talk about what you do at Livingston Systems?
So Darren Livingston, Livingston Systems, we make flat surfaces to print on garments. That's all we do. Flat surface for hats, shirts, hoodies, sleeves. And we've been doing it since the late 80s.
Great. And Ron?
So I'm Ron from Ronco Screen Printing Equipment. I'm an M&R distributor and independent technician and part-time inventor, I guess.
You're a humble guy, Ron. He's really fantastic inventor. And Marty?
Yeah, my name is Marty Cronin. I'm with Livingston Systems. I'm the VP of Sales, and what I'm doing is basically just working on developing distribution and also working with anyone that's interested directly from Livingston to get their TagBot installed and
awesome.
Get things rolling.
Okay, and Bill.
Hey, I'm Bill Bauckham from IC Group, Salt Lake City. We are the first person that had the TagBot installed into our facility. We now have 3 TagBots, so that's why I've joined this meeting today to tell you why I think the TagBot is awesome stuff. So we're excited to be here today. You bet.
I appreciate that, and we're really really happy to have you, Bill, as well, just to kind of show how it's working for people in the industry. So, well, let's go ahead and kick the webinar off with a video so people can kind of see the TagBot and learn a little bit more about how it works.
Hi, this is Ron Yard. I'm here to show you the new TagBot system. We're really excited to bring it to market. The reason it's such a big deal is it eliminates half of the time that you would normally take to print the tag separately and then the front logo. So now you're printing it all at one time. And not only are your jobs going to be done sooner, but you no longer need all those extra employees. Now you can put those employees on autos. Everyone, is having a hard time getting enough employees to run their shop right now. Just imagine, as soon as you put the system on, now you've got 3 to 6 people that would normally be printing tags now freed up for other jobs. So let's go on a tour. All right, so the TagBot system includes the screen holder and this special squeegee and flood bar, as you see here. See how it's extended out? And it also includes the loader and unloader system. So we're going to start out with the screen holder. This adapts in very simply. It uses the same existing 2 bolts that all the print heads have to hold the front, and the back is held in by the normal screen clamp. This is your print area, and now we are printing, as you can see, out where normally you couldn't before. So we're leaving the standard portion of the pallet alone. That, if you imagine without this on here, you're still printing and pulling your shirt on like you always would. And the rest of your screens for your jobs are burnt in the same position, and you're getting that full print area. You'll see on some of the clips, I'm actually getting 20 inches with a 23 by 31 frame, where normally you're only supposed to be able to get 18. So back to the screen holder, the way we're able to print outside the normal print area is we're using this extended squeegee and flood bar, and it snaps on just like a normal squeegee and flood bar work. We also have a very simple system in order to line up the screens. So typically we will burn 3 sizes on one screen, and again, this is just a standard screen, so you don't need any special screens anymore. And with this laser, you can simply unlock the screen, and I can slide it down to my next size and lock it in very quickly. And you'll also see that you can remove the screen without removing the squeegee and flood bar. So you don't have to worry about trying to get too many sizes on one screen and cramming them together, because you can pull the screen out very easily without taking the squeegee and flood bar out, and in just a matter of seconds throw another screen in, line it up, and go. The first 2 parts, you saw the screen adapter and the special squeegee and flood bar. So this is the third part of the system. We have the loader and unloader. So what this allows you to do is it keeps everything running as fast as possible. So you virtually have nothing to slow you down while you're printing. As you can see in the video, myself and the guy helping me, we're printing faster than most people are printing without the tag. So it really does not slow you down. And in fact, this part of the pallet actually centers the collar of your shirt for you. So anytime you might have added to load the tag portion, as you see when I pull on, see how it centers the collar? So that actually speeds it up in a way, and then with all these parts together, there's really no slowdown. You're getting the same production rate as you would without the TagBot. So when you add the TagBot system to your auto, you are reducing the time by 50% that you would normally take to print the tag and the front logo separately, because now it's happening all in one round. Depending on your auto, you virtually don't lose a print head because it fits in the cool down station. The only time that you might lose a head is on a really small machine. As long as you have 2 flashes on the auto, you really don't lose any print heads because you're going to utilize the cool down station. So that's the TagBot system, and I'll see you next time.
Okay, that was great. I think that explained it pretty well too. I think, you know, seeing it, and one of the absolute biggest parts of this is you don't lose any print area. And that's correct, Ron, right? I mean, as far as a normal print area, you're printing the tag and the normal print, right? And I think,
yeah.
Okay. And next I want to go to just a couple of slides. We won't PowerPoint everybody to death, but we want to go through and just focus in again and just remind people on what are the specific components that make up the TagBot. So let's just go ahead and kick off that, and we'll cover a couple of these slides. And okay. And Marty, if you want to kind of walk us through just real quick. I mean, obviously everybody can read, and this PowerPoint is of course available. If they reach out to Livingston Systems, they can get a copy of this, or they can go on your website and see the same information. We want to go through this first. So the first one here is the tag along pallets.
So so I think what's important to understand when you're considering what is TagBot, like what is this thing? It's really composed of 3 different pieces that create a system. And those 3 different pieces are the pallet, this thing that we call the print head adapter, which is essentially taking what most of M&R's machines have side clamps. Excuse me, have front and rear clamps, and we need to convert that to side clamps. Also in the print head adapter, there is other things that are going on, and that has to do more with the squeegee and flood bar, which are custom shaped to be able to reach forward outside of the normal print area, and to be able to accomplish that. There's the third component of the system is the loader and unloader, and Ron just talked about that in that video a second ago, but it's really important to know what that does. What we're trying to do is make sure that the TagBot system is nothing but 100% improvement to what your speed of your shop is. So between all three of these components, you'll lose no time whatsoever in a typical carousel spin. But even, obviously what you're doing is you're accomplishing 2 prints that normally take 2 complete cycles through your system. And the savings of literally 50% is achieved by getting all 3 of these dialed in. And so that's really what that's all this first slide is telling you.
Cool. Well, let's go to the next one. Okay, and this is really just showing a closer example of the, just a clarity of what the pallet looks like from a top-down perspective, and also how it fits with the size of the
There are
screen.
3 different pallet sizes. We have a youth, a medium, and a standard. So, but those obviously change a bit within the parameters of this slide here. But that gives somebody an idea of this. And I'm seeing a bunch of questions come by here, Tom, that I'm just going to address in a general thing. TagBot works on every single M&R machine that is currently produced. Anyways, there's potentially even older ones that it will work on. But it's designed right now to work on every screen print machine auto that M&R makes currently. And like I said, some older ones. There's just a bunch of questions coming in here. Does it work on this? Does it work on that? And it literally works.
No,
on
that's fine. Yeah, we
anything
can
that's
cover
out
those in the Q&A more specifically, but because it works a little different depending on the machines are. But yeah, let's go ahead and go to the next slide. Okay. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, so the print head adapter, Ron, I'm going to turn this to you a bit. In that, what's going on here is Ron's going to explain really how this all operates. But the key to know about this is that you can do multiple sizes on one screen. If your neck tag graphic is small enough, you can definitely get 4 in there. You can absolutely, no matter what the size is, as long as it fits on our printing area, you can definitely fit 3. But Ron, why don't you kind of explain a bit about the print head adapter and what its purpose is?
Yeah, so the print head adapter basically changes your screen holders from, like on a typical M&R press, except for a Diamondback. It changes it from in clamps to side clamps. That allows the screen to protrude out further than the screen would normally be sitting. And it allows you to, do multiple sizes, as Marty mentioned. The one reason we only do generally 3 sizes is just it allows a little bit quicker taping. You don't have to be so precise when you're taping off the screen after you print a size. And it's really so easy to switch the screen on most presses now. The new Cobra, because the tab in the front of the head hangs down a little bit and protrudes out further, you can't quite get the screen out. You do have to remove the flood bar, which doesn't take very long, or at least loosen it. But on virtually every other machine, you can actually remove the screen without taking the squeegee and flood bar out. So we found that it's easier just to keep it to 3, maybe 4 sizes and switch the screen out.
One thing to note, when we
go ahead,
first installed the print head adapter, Ron and I moved it from I believe it was a Gauntlet to a Sportsman and then to a Diamondback. And we installed the print head adapter in less than 10 minutes and pulled it out in less than 2 minutes to move it from machine to machine. So if you did need to reclaim that print head, it is a really quick changeover.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And something I forgot to mention is on a press that has 2 flashes, you can put it at the cool down station, so now you're really not losing any print heads because you're printing outside the normal print area, which allows the body of the shirt to still cool like it normally would. So, on an 810 or larger machine, we typically put it after the first flash, and it just lives there. It never gets moved.
Yeah.
But yes, and once it's calibrated the first time, you could take it in and out in just a few minutes. We use the existing airlines that hold the screen clamps. And so you just pop a couple airlines off, move them, take 2 bolts out of the front, put them back on, and it's back to a normal print head.
Very cool. All right, let's go ahead and switch slides. We'll keep the ball rolling. So some of this we've already covered, right? I mean, as far as loading, but maybe if you want to just talk through this briefly, like what the process of loading, and how that works with the loading assistance.
Yeah, Ron, why don't you go into this?
So the cool thing about the pallet itself is the way the neck is.
Ron, can you speak up a tad?
Yeah. So the way the neck of the pallet, the tag pallet, is designed, it actually centers, as we mentioned in the video, it actually centers the collar for you. So that saves you a little bit of time. And then when you pull the shirt back, when you're ready, you step forward and it becomes a natural motion. So it's not something you really think about after you've done it a while, but you just naturally step forward onto the foot pedal. That pops the collar up. So now you can load it very quickly. So it becomes very fluid. You pull it on, and as you're bringing your hands back and you pull the collar to the position you want, your hands just naturally then come to the collar. So it's very fast and very smooth, and it doesn't take very long, a couple dozen shirts, and people tend to get the hang of it.
It's really interesting that, a lot of people focus on, well, if you're going to have an auto loader, they're thinking about loading everything, right? They're thinking about all the work being taken off and there's nobody there. But a loading assist actually makes a lot of practical sense, because removing half of the motion or 3/4 of the motion is actually an enormous amount of time saved over a long period of time with a large number of garments. So it really does make a big difference in, and it is really fluid. That's the crazy part, is like watching this work and how fluid it is with just a little assist with the way the loader and unloader works. It's really neat. So I was really impressed when I first saw it. I was like, oh wow, that, like, at first I was like wondering, like, how is that working? And then once I saw it running in motion, and we'll see another video just in a minute that shows it running, and shows the fluid production of it. And I'm sure Bill can speak to that as well at the end. But we got a lot of questions coming in too, so I want to keep it moving so we got a chance to address a lot of them. So let's go ahead and switch slides, because we already talked about the adapter. Okay, the unloader.
Wait a second. Hey, wait 1 second, Tom. I'm sorry. I was talking with my mic off there for a second. It's interesting to know that when we were developing TagBot, or what has become TagBot, we wanted to make sure, and I mentioned this earlier, that there was, when you add TagBot to your press, that there is no negative whatsoever. There's no loss of anything. It's only a pure gain. When we got down to the print head adapter and we had that figured out, Ron, who is an automation beyond expert, was looking at this, and he was stating, hey, listen, that it does still take an extra, 2 or 3 seconds to put the neck area, the printing plane, up on into the print pad for the neck tag. When you really think about this, even if we didn't have the loader and unloader, you're comparing, savings of minutes and minutes of rerunning this shirt and all the employees that are needed to refold that and everything else. So when you convert that, and then you eliminate the additional 2 to 3 seconds that it takes to load that neck area, because now the loader and unloader mechanical hand is coming up and putting it on there. It's pretty stunning to watch what that can do, and I'm anxious to hear Bill talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to just address the unloading part of it just real quick, Ron? I think, how does that differ from the assist of the loader? You want to just mention that?
So yes, the unloader, in addition, so it's very similar to the loader, has the same two main cylinders, but then it also has fingers. So the collar gets brought, the fingers come through the side of the pallet and pop the collar up and then retract and pull it off of the, which you'll see in our upcoming video. There's some more video of it, but it just unloads it. So if the unloader just goes through his natural motion of looking at the design to make sure there's no issues with the full print and pulling the shirt off naturally, he doesn't even notice that it's unloaded. It doesn't slow you down. It just eliminates that extra step. So you're just back to normal unloading. And then if the operator is running by himself, it actually unloads the tag. And then when it comes over to your unload station, again, you're just pulling it off like you always would. So nothing to slow you down.
That's awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and switch. We got a couple more slides here. You guys want to speak to just the cost? There was some questions about this in the Q&A too. Relatively self-explanatory, right?
And Bill.
Oh, sorry, you guys are muted. Go ahead.
Bill, did you want to add something before I jump into this cost?
You know, as far as the details of, and I don't know what you guys want me to talk to as far as that goes, but when we purchased this company 2 years ago, I've been in the screen print industry for 30 plus years. And we worked at a facility where we were printing about 90,000 pieces a week. And with that 90,000, we were handling the shirt twice because we had to print neck labels on it as well. And so we used a little ASP machine in the past. And Ron came along, helped us set up some new presses with this company we purchased. I'm from the MHM world. I thought they were the best, but now I've worked with M&Rs. They're just tanks. They're built really well, and so I've been converted to that, and I love what they do. One thing that we didn't know is I talked to every screen printer, every ink manufacturer, I talked to everybody, and I said, "What does it cost to print a T-shirt?" And no one could tell me. No one could tell me how much it costs to print a shirt. No one could tell me how much each individual piece costs or anything like that. So for about 8 months, we calculated every single print that went through the plant. We have a CFO that's amazing, and we have a logarithm of information that is in a Excel spreadsheet, and I can tell you exactly what it costs to print a T-shirt. With that said, we kept track of everything that we did with the TagBot. So when we presented this challenge to Ron, he came up with the TagBot. We installed it, and it's incredible as far as the time that you save and things like that. I've written down a few notes from some of the questions that you guys have asked. We have currently probably been using this for, I would say, a year, Ron, wouldn't you say, or a little less than that, maybe?
A little bit less than a year.
A little less than a year.
I thought it was a little over.
Well, yeah, it might be. I can't remember because we've been in business for 2 years, and I think, Ron, we set up within the first 6 months, I think, adding more machines. But we've got a lot of proofs, a lot of runs. We calculate every single day. We calculate how many prints we do. We calculate how much time it takes, rotations, TagBot information, the whole thing. So basically, we're saving 25 cents a shirt because you're not touching the shirt twice. We just did a 45,000 piece run. We saved $11,250 if you take that quarter into play. We've got another company that we just finished over the summer, about 107,000 prints. That's $26,750 worth of savings. I'm calculating that we're probably close to 350 to 400, maybe even 500,000 pieces. And that's anywhere from $87,000 to $125,000 in savings. That's in labor costs, pretty much labor costs, and having it, run a couple times. Some of the questions are, where do you print the tag? It's common, we print a lot of dark shirts, so usually the first press is the underlay. Second press will be the flash. The third one is the tag because it allows you to cool down after the flash. So it fits perfectly in that position. You don't have to, you have another flash usually at the end, and the TagBot print can be flashed at that time as well. Somebody asked if you could do it on a sweatshirt. You can do it on a sweatshirt. The arm mechanisms don't help as well on the loading side of things, so you will have to pull the hood through the of the pallet, and it takes a little bit of effort, but it saves you 25 cents. I don't care how anybody looks at it.
Bill, when you say it saves 25 cents, what are you charging your customers per neck tag?
No, that's all profit. So you're 40 cents a neck label. And so I'm saving that additional 25 cents. And so I was only making 15 cents, right? So now I'm saving that 25. So we haven't changed our pricing on that. If anything, we're going to go up a little bit coming in 2022, just because everything's going up. We love the TagBot so much that we got 3 of them. We just bought 2 more. So
Yeah,
we have 3 presses that have the TagBot. What I love about that is before we were trying to channel all of the presses to the 1 or 2 TagBots. So it made it a little bit hard for the scheduler to schedule the TagBot, because the ASPE machine has not been used. It was being used on hoodies, but now we do hoodies on the TagBot. We haven't used it for 6 or 8 months. So if anybody wants an ASPE machine, it's for sale. I'd love to sell it to you. But the TagBot's amazing. I love it. Ron has been awesome. I totally recommend Ron for any installation as far as that goes. But yeah, we've got 3 TagBots. Anyone's welcome to come to Salt Lake City. If you ski, I ski. Come out here.
That's great. Well, let's hit the last video, and then
we'll
try, because we got a bunch of questions in the queue, and we can move forward on time. But thanks so much, Bill. That was great.
Thanks, Bill.
Yep. Let's watch the next video, and then we'll hit the questions.
Something that's key about that video, guys, that we don't really mention in here, but it states that I think in the beginning of the video that between Ron, and by the way, that was Bill's shop right there. Ron was out there installing the 3rd TagBot that they have now, and we decided to film some of this just to have it, just to see what this thing was looking like. This guy's now had some time, this loader that they have. He is incredible, but you can see in this video, he's not necessarily killing himself to get this, hit the numbers. And between Ron and him working together on that press, that was 780 shirts per hour. Is that right, Sean? Ron?
Yeah. It was 780, and then I also have another video, but it was an actual print that they were doing. So Bill doesn't necessarily want us to share that, with social media, but by himself, he was running at 407 to 450 an hour. And I videotaped him. He didn't even know I was videotaping him, so he was just running. And in the video, he's even like tapping the pallet because he was waiting a second because he was already done. So, yeah, I mean, the speed, at 780, that's probably faster. And that's a full 20-inch print, so that's probably faster than the average person runs. And we were doing that on purpose to show that, hey, we're running faster than even a standard person or a standard shop. Could you run faster than that? Yeah, if you're wanting to show off. And I always thought we should do another world record, one of these shows to show, which all you would have to do, you'd only have to go at 400 an hour and probably would be a world record. So at this
I know.
point,
I mean, what you're talking about here now is, it sounds like one thing to say you're doing 780 prints per hour. Okay, well, cool. But now you're doing 100% more prints. You're done when that job is done. You're done. You don't have to rerun anything through the system.
Yeah, that's the big thing, right? You're going through the dryer
Right.
once. Let's go ahead and jump into the questions now. So this is the panel part of the discussion. So if you guys have any questions, pop them in the Q&A. A lot of questions came in through chat. We'll try to answer with whatever we can. And then so let's work through. A lot of people, they're looking to. We've got some people that want to see it on various versions of presses. So maybe Ron, you could just could you quickly speak to the difference between this on a Diamondback versus Sportsman? Maybe you want to address that question.
Sure. And before I get to that, I saw one question pop up that I've been wanting to answer.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
From John.
Sure.
He was asking, does the ink get from the collar when it unloads? Does the ink get on the shirt? No, because that's why, on a press with 2 flashes, you're flashing the tag like on a typical red chili flash that's 20 by 24. That is just long enough if you pull it out slightly to flash the tag and the full front. And so the tag's already dry when it gets pulled off. The only time you would lose a print head is on, say, a 6-color machine where you're typically running 1 flash. Then that kind of changes everything, where we put it at the first station, so you do lose that station just so that it gets flashed. But okay, so moving on to the presses, we put it on. Only thing I haven't physically put it on yet is a striker. But I was just at a shop up in Seattle yesterday working on one of their presses, and I was studying the striker, and there's really no reason it wouldn't go on there just fine. So that's the only one I haven't attempted. But
Okay.
Everything else, it fits on very easily. Like you saw in that original video, all M&R presses have the 2 bolts on the front that our screen adapter will adjust to. And the one difference on a Diamondback, and it actually saves you approximately $2,500 if you have a Diamondback. The Diamondback already has side clamps, so you don't need the adapter at all.
Right.
You just run the loader unloader, our squeegee and flood bar, and our laser, a slightly different version of the laser that's actually magnetized so that you can still line up your screens.
Yeah, because you can just slide the screen right out with the side clamps. So then, yeah,
Yeah,
it's pretty simple. Yep. No, that's great. Okay. And then we had a couple other one. Obviously there's always development happening, so I can't speak to digital printing at this moment, but I know that there's some behind the scenes thoughts in regards to that. So those are questions you could probably handle separately if people have specifics in regards to those, because what we're showing today is primarily printing, but there's no reason why, it works with the mentality and the process. At least from my standpoint, it would work with a variety of different applications. So,
on one quick note on that, I will say that on a Challenger 3 recently that I put it on, it had a digital squeegee on the machine.
mm-hmm.
We did not run the digital squeegee, but the pallets fit on there. It does not come in contact with the digital squeegee. I'm not sure personally how close the digital squeegee can print to, before the head is inside or, runs out of, or how high it can print.
Mm-hmm.
But and one thing we haven't addressed yet is the TagBot pallet. One of the tricks with it is the surface that the tag is on is slightly lower than the body or the main pallet.
Great point.
And
Yep.
the reason for that is so that when it comes around, the tag is sitting right under the outer screen holder.
So it doesn't rub.
Lower
Yep.
enough so that it does not come in contact with that outer screen holder.
Yeah.
Now, if we were to use a digital squeegee on it, as long as the digital squeegee can print high enough, that's the only question I'm not sure of.
Yeah, and it's an open question whether people would want a digital quality printed tag as well. I mean, for most people,
well, I would,
that would be an open
it would
question.
sure be nice if people just click the size and it would change the size, so it's just, it'd be cool to see.
It would be cool.
Printed tag.
Yeah, it'd be
I
fun.
think it's possible, but
yeah, it's something we can definitely take a look at. And so some of the other questions we've got, there's some questions about warranties for the pallets or for the TagBot. You guys want to address those?
Yeah, so the pallets
right now, go ahead.
Yeah, pallets have a 1-year warranty. We haven't had any yet. And they're going to have typical wear on the rubber. So whatever typical rubber top maintenance changeover you have with standard pallets, you'll see the same with that. There's no moving parts on the pallet itself. I'll let Ron talk more about the cylinders, which would probably be the only wear or maintenance item on the rest
or
of
even
the system.
Bill. I mean, Bill, you could probably speak to that. You've been printing a lot of tags. Have you seen?
Yeah. So we haven't. If there's ever been any issues, I mean, Ron knows what we've had to fix in the past, but if anything that we've done is just upgrades. Ron is kind of reinventing it as he goes along because we had the first one, obviously. So he's got some different kinds of arms on there. And I know that when depending on if you spray or use glue, if you do use spray, there are sensors that can get clogged up that you have to keep clean. That may possibly be the only issues that we've had. I don't know what you would say to that, Ron, if there's any other parts that we've had to place, but the cylinders, I know you've even upgraded those a little bit. That we might have had an issue on the very first one we ever did, but I don't remember. It's usually been an easy fix if anything goes wrong.
Yeah, so far there's been very little, if any, issues. Speaking of there is one sensor. So as you load the shirt, there's a sensor that like a shirt detector, that as you load the shirt, then the main cylinder rises up. And then when you finish loading, the secondary cylinder, when you hit the foot pedal, pops up. So that sensor is the only thing that you just need to keep an eye on. We'll either put a piece of clear tape over it. And if you just check it once in a while, like once a week, or, just make sure it's clean. It's very simple. That's virtually the only maintenance. Everything else on it is retracted. So, and talking about gluing, worst case scenario, if you're using spray mist, which I don't suggest anyway, it's still the only thing you'll have to worry about is either replacing the tape maybe daily on the sensor. I do recommend using wipe-on glue in general, which will avoid any issue, but I suggest that to all my clients, whether or not they're using TagBot.
100%. Yeah. Just from people breathing it, right? Yeah.
So the cool thing about the tag portion itself is and even if you're going to spray glue the rest of the pallet, on the tag portion, you only have to apply glue maybe once a day. The tag just naturally catches on the edge of the tag pallet. And because you're only printing one color, it needs very little adhesion at all. So I've had clients that don't even put glue, they put glue on it the first time, they put like pallet paper on it, and then they hardly even glue it at all after that. So the neck portion stays very clean in general, unless the person is spraying the whole thing down, which again, they shouldn't. So,
no, those are great points. I think, one of the things too is, there's such a variety of different garments with tearaway labels versus non-tearaway or different things. But what I've seen as far as durability, the pallets are extremely well made. Like, they're really durable. They're not, and the quality of them is what I would consider the highest quality of pallets I've seen out there. So, they're very, very well made. So,
thanks, Tom.
Yeah, and I've never seen them. Honestly, have yet to see one fail in the field. That it's not to say it's not possible if people get crazy, but don't dance on it. But outside of that, they're extremely well made.
And I think
again, we got more questions here. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the thing I think we're on generation number 2 on the pallet too. So on that first, the first go around with the first TagBot, we had pallets on there and we re-engineered them so that the t-shirt would flow easier on and off the pallet. So that was a huge improvement. And so they beveled the edges and things like that. So we've kind of gone through, you know, we've been lucky enough to allow Ron to kind of, you know, fine tune everything. And so I think from the first TagBot, and we've upgraded that one already, I think it's more perfect now than when we first started.
Yeah, there's a bunch of questions about cost. How do you guys want to answer that? I know
Sure.
it's going to vary depending on the number of pallets and stuff, but can you give them
it's
a rough estimate, you know?
It's pretty simple. And for anyone that's looking at this, if you go to the Livingston Systems webpage, or specifically, you can get to it by thetagbot.com. There is a pricing calculator on there that allows you to also figure out what your payoff would be by putting an investment into this. But I'll answer this as best I can. It's quite simple. The Diamondback is the only M&R machine that already comes with side clamps. So any Diamondback is going to be different than the rest of any M&R machine as far as in reference to the cost here. So I'll outline it with as a Diamondback. Any Diamondback machine that you have would be $10,000 gets you the base price of this, and then it's $500 per pallet. So, you know, if you've got a 10 pallet machine, you know, that's, you know, $5,000 that you would have right there, and then add that to your $10,000, and there you go. So you got a $15,000 TagBot, basically. The thing that's important that I would love for everybody to take a look at with this, on our website on thetagbot.com, is that in this calculator, it allows you to mess with this under your own numbers. So I think it's really important. We talked to a customer yesterday. They were telling me that they are fortunate enough with one of their customers to be able to get as much as $1.50 for their neck tags. We hear the range being anywhere from basically 20. I think I've heard of the lowest is 22 cents, but it seems like the average is somewhere around between 50 and 75 cents a neck tag. So all you have to do is figure out what your cost is of your TagBot, which, let's say, again, if you've got a 10 pallet, not 10 color, but a 10, you have to have every pallet filled. So if it's a 10 station machine, that's $5,000. If you have a Diamondback, that's the 10 grand right there. So now you're at 15 grand. Divide that 15 grand by 75 cents a neck tag, and you have your payoff of that investment completed, which is pretty damn short. To answer if anyone has anything besides a Diamondback, that is $12,500, because we do have to have the full build of the print head adapter included in that. So that adds an additional $2,500. So you're now at $12,500 plus $500 a pallet. Right. Okay. Most people are paying off their machine in somewhere between 35,000 neck prints, and I think I've seen as much as 50,000 neck prints for a really large build that we did. It was 18 pallets. But when you consider that at that point, once that thing is paid off, you're literally printing pure money at that point. And that sounds really salesy to say, but you're literally, only thing you're doing for your neck tags as a print operator is your screen for your sizes.
I think Bill answered that question pretty well, right?
Yeah.
I think Bill basically slam dunked that one. I don't think there's any argument there. Let's run through the ones that have been published here. Like, we covered how much the pallets. I think you answered, does it work on a Challenger 2 from 04 to 06, Ron? But maybe, I don't know if there's, you know, it seems like if it's just the bolts and the, you know, the distance, and I think, you know, but so I think that's pretty definitively a yes, although it may be a good idea to verify that. But and then what about multicolor tags? I got some people asking about that. I don't know if that's come up. Is that a question?
It has come up, and I haven't had anyone, you know, I've had people ask, and it is possible, but I haven't had anyone actually pull the trigger, because I don't know of anyone that really does multicolor tags. yes, it is possible, and I'd either have to devise its own version of a tri-lock, or you would have to just manually line the screen up. On a Diamondback, you know, you can still use the micros that are built in.
I was going to say, just buy a Diamondback, right? Yeah.
Yeah. There's no, on the screen adapter itself, there's no micros, just because so far we haven't seen a need, but I'm, you know, happy to come up with that system for the first client that needs it. And in my head, I've already worked out a way where it would have stopping points to help line up the tag.
Well, and from a M&R standpoint, I'd say just get a digital squeegee, and you do as many colors as you want on the tag. You know, as long as we can get that to work out. So that's in the future, but yeah, you want a multicolored tag, we can hook that up.
Yeah, and Thomas, I think that could be pretty quick. Although we would have to raise the tag palette up to the same plane as the base palette.
Depending, it might just lower the resolution a little bit, though, Darren, because
that's what I was thinking. I think.
Yeah, you just got to have a lower, that's all.
But I think it would still work.
Yeah, probably.
I even thought one thing that would be cool is you would, you know, on a digital squeegee, you still have some screen. So let's say you still print the tag with the screen, but then you could just spray it with like a multicolor, like let's say you just sprayed it with a rainbow color over the white. And even if it's sprayed outside of the underprint, it would still give it a really cool look. Yep. So there's all kinds of neat things in my mind you could do with it.
Oh yeah, for sure. Okay. So we covered, we covered the cost of the system as a whole. And then maybe just talk about the install briefly, if you guys want. Like, what are the steps to installation? What are the steps to taking it out if you want to take it out? You guys want to just talk about that? Like, how long does it take? And like, how long does it take to train somebody on how to use this?
Typical install takes 2 full days, about a day and a half to install it, and a half a day for training. It's actually very simple to use. It's more about just kind of sticking around in case the operators have a few questions as they start using it. But yeah, and then as far as taking it out, again, if you set it up on a larger, anything 8 colors or more, it typically lives in the press and doesn't come out. But once the screen adapter has been calibrated, there's really just 2 bolts that you take out, and you swap 4 airlines, and you're back to a normal print head, and then you can pop it right back in. But I think Bill can attest that they've never taken their TagBots out of the print heads since they've got them.
Yeah, we haven't. Occasionally we'll do it on our 6.8, but just about everything that we're.
But that's the Diamondback.
Yeah. So that's easy. It's easy to do. So
it's more just that, and then
machine. And Ron knows our shop, but that machine is constantly printing tags, if not every single time. So
registration system.
100%. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt you there, Bill.
Registration
system, does it work with Trilock? Does it work with those?
Yeah. So we have a Trilock. So we have an iMage. We have a Trilock. Because of the neck of the plate, it pushes your main pallet a little bit farther down. And so we burn about 5.5 to 6 inches. So you do have to adjust that part of it. One of the questions that Keith had is, can you print the main design along with the neck label? Obviously, yes. Of course, that's how we do it. And so you just have to teach your artist as well as your pre-press guy where to burn the image so it lines up perfectly. But yeah, we use Trilock on everything. So it works.
No, it's a big deal. Yeah, that's great.
No, not a big deal. Yeah.
Hey, Bill, there's a question I'd like you to answer here particularly. If you look at this last question here from John, he's stating here basically the quality of the neck tag print. He's got a customer that they use transfers with at this point. Yeah. And I'm curious. I mean, I know what I would say, but I'd really love to hear what you is.
So we've never had a quality with the tags. And you can use, I don't know, what do you think we're using, Ron? A 125 maybe on the neck label?
No, I think typically to use a 230 mesh.
230, okay. Typical. So a 230 or a even a 305 if the details are fine. But just make sure that your fonts are big enough. Don't use little tiny fonts. You wanna make it big enough. I can send John some examples of the art print sizes. I could send him artwork or he could send it to me and I could create the artwork for him and email it back to him and say, this is the size I would print. On hoodies, because they have that felt fleece backing, you do have to increase the font size a little bit more so it's more readable. But that's the only challenges that we've had as far as the fleece. Fleece is a little more challenging, but there has never been a tag print that has not been approved. Everyone loves it.
Oh yeah, and I mean you're just screen printing a high quality print through a 230 right onto a.
What's fun is you're getting the order done faster. You're getting the order done faster. Yeah. You're only touching the garment less times. It's
yeah.
Awesome.
No, that's
for sure.
No, I think
If
that's
I
a good
can
answer.
speak to that a little bit.
Sure.
If I can speak to that a little bit more for a second.
Yeah.
In my experience so far, and this is something I didn't even think about, every time I install one, the printers and the clients always, one of the first things they say is, wow, the print is so much cleaner than in the past. Yeah. And I didn't even realize on the smaller tag printing machines that was an issue until recently. So it prints, super fine detail to the point where you can actually you don't have to, maybe on fleece, but on typical print, you can print smaller fonts if you needed to, but it's very clean and you have all the controls now of your print head that you're used to. And, so your off contact is perfect. Your squeegee pressure is turned down to, if you're using your regulator on a typical press, it's down to 20 or 30 PSI. You're printing very lightly and you have all that control back that you lose on some smaller machines.
Well, and without going too far into the nerdy screen printing weeds, when your frame is farther away from your image, you have more screen flex, which actually maintains integrity of your print better. When your frame is really close to the outside diameter of your image, you got to press harder, and that can actually cause the squeegee to flex more, which causes more mashing of the print. So there's a pressure trade-off to actually using a bigger screen for a smaller print is actually a better scenario. So you actually can get a cleaner shear off and a cleaner clarity to your edge quality. So that would make sense from a nerdy screen printing point of view. But
hey, Ron, I have a question for you. Have you installed this on any shop that's using the water-based inks?
I haven't, and I don't know why. I mean, I don't know
it could work both ways. I was just John was asking about a soft ink, but we use plastisol and so much. And if I understand the question right, there's so little of ink that goes into that tag that it feels nice on the shirt. So there's no issues there if that's the question John's asking. So
no, that's a great point. Yeah.
Darren, can you touch on the size of the print before we get done here as well?
Yeah, let me unmute. Yeah, so it's 3.75 wide by 3 1/4 tall, and that's across all sizes, small, medium, and large. We've got a 12-inch wide, small, 14-inch medium, and a 16-inch wide, large adult size. Because you probably saw on that drawing, the bottom has a bit of a curve. The sides tapered down to 2.89, and this we have found is captured pretty much every tag size needed out there. But we do run across a couple customers that have said we need something really big. One customer needed a 4.5-inch tall tag, so we did a custom link and tag platen for them, and it probably runs a little bit slower, but they are running it just fine with the loader and unloader.
So we had that same issue where you guys ought to. I'd recommend staying with what you're creating now, Darren, as far as that goes. We actually went to a customer that had that long print, and we said, "Hey, this is the window that we have to print in," and they adjusted it. They said that's fine. We don't need all that information on the shirt. No one reads it. they just look at the size, it's made in China, made in Honduras, made in Guatemala, wherever, all those things are obviously on there as well. But drive that conversation, get away from that 4-inch print and let it just be the size that you guys make it. And the customer will adjust. Trust me. They know they can get their product faster. They'll make changes to the size of the neck label for sure.
Well, and especially consider the fact that, let's say if you're doing a 4-inch neck tag, that's probably a fairly more expensive neck tag.
I would think so. Oh yeah, for sure.
And if you can go to that customer and state, hey, listen, or if you're willing to knock this down to 3.75, I can cut some cost off of this in a way. Man, that you're talking right to what they want to hear anyway.
And the size is plenty big. It works really well. So you guys shouldn't run into those issues. Anybody picking this?
That's what I was going to say. It's actually a pretty good size tag when you actually see it. So.
And you can't go much bigger, otherwise you're not going to fit it into the neck. I mean,
it's just not good, right?
Yeah, most people's necks are not that, huge anyways, unless you're wearing a boat
I think the challenge to that would be too is the front of the shirt you have to pull down farther. It's just not made that way. But yeah, I would. If anything, they're going to save a little bit on ink and save a little bit on time. And
just spec wise, what are the air requirements, Ron? Is that something that you use? Is that a separate line, or is that separate electricity, or is that?
So we tie in. That's a good point. The machine, the loader unloader is actually tied into the auto in two ways. So the first way is we use a small 1/4-inch air line that we tap into the base of the machine. And it uses, less than 1 CFM. The press doesn't even know it's there. So it doesn't really add any air consumption. And then electrically, it uses the 24 volt from the automatic, and it uses the lift, or on a flat indexing machine, it uses the fork down signal to actually activate the loader unloader. And then the third thing is it has its built-in proximity switches that tie into the auto. So let's say on a typical machine, when the pallet comes up, that tells all the timers to activate, and then that brings the cylinders up to activate accordingly. If, let's say, you hit the stop button, as soon as that signal's gone, well, the TagBot also retracts instantly. So the speed is dictated by the speed of the machine. It goes as fast as timed with the machine. Now, not that it has ever happened, but let's say a shirt were to get caught or something and the TagBot didn't completely retract, the built-in sensors on the TagBot will stop the automatic, and you'll get a signal saying table not down, and it will just stop. And then there's a built-in air switch where you can release the pressure to the system anytime you want to, let's say the shirt got caught or something. But Bill, you can answer that question. I don't know that they've ever got a shirt caught. So
no, we've never. It's pretty. It works really well. We don't have air problems. We don't have issues with that. Just the sensors. You got to keep the sensors clean if you're using spray. That's pretty much the only fail safe you got to watch for.
Okay. Well, we've got a really good.
Go ahead. So some people have been worried about, the pressure of that cylinder, raising up, and if somebody happened to have the hand underneath there. And Ron had showed me that, he can put his hand in there, bring it up, and you can push the cylinder down with your hand. It's regulated so low, it takes so little pressure that there's no worry about getting pinched in there.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Well, we've got some cool, we got a cool graphic for people. We're going to have this garment available as a sample. So this is going to be available, just kind of a fun graphic that you can get, and I'll have a custom tag on it. It'll be available up at the upcoming Long Beach show. We'll have this garment there that people can get, and they can reach out to you guys to get a sample. I think that's a good way to kind of see, they can get a sample and they can see the videos again on your website. To wrap up, in closing, what if they want? Where do people go if they want more info? I always tell people to loop in their dealer and their rep, but if they want more info, what's the preferred path for people to get that?
I would suggest, the tagbot.com.
The tagbot.com. Okay.
Correct.
And then
my email my email personally is Marty, MARTY, at livingstonsystems.com.
Oh, here we go.
It's okay. I'll take it.
All right, but no, I think we've had a lot of excitement, people seeing this, and I really appreciate Bill. I mean, coming on here and basically telling people how well it's worked for you in your shop, and it's not an accident. We've got other companies using TagBot. We've got quite a few that are using TagBot now that have been all universally. I've heard nothing but good things. So. Yeah, I really want to encourage people to check this out if they do a lot of tagging, and probably for people that even if they don't do an enormous like all tagging, they can go through the calculator on your site and figure out, you know, at what point does this really pay for itself, because it doesn't take that long. So
it doesn't. And Tom, you know,
quick.
something that's also kind of interesting I've heard from one of our customers is that they're like, hey, wait a second, now all of a sudden I'm doing these free tags. If the customer's not requesting a neck tag, I'm just putting my own information there. So if nothing else, you're just advertising your business for free whenever you don't have a neck tag that's part of it.
Or charge for it. I mean, I think charging for it's a good deal too.
No. I don't mean not charge. I'm talking about putting your own shop's information. If you don't have, you know, if you're not getting anything on there, I mean, if the customer hasn't requested a neck tag, what the heck? Just print your own on there and put your own contact information. You never know if that's going to turn into a lead for you later.
Yeah. If anyone wants to call me at all, I'm more than happy to answer any questions as well.
I really appreciate it. So
I can throw my number on there, and Sherry had a good question about moving a machine. Ron, if I remember right, we only moved that 6.8 just an inch, if even that. I can't remember what we did, but I thought we moved that just a tiny bit.
We only moved it because we had it pushed closer to the dryer than normal, just trying to make room to get around it in your particular shop. Really, you don't, as long as the auto is set at 33 to 36 inches, which is the ideal position when I install them. You don't have to move anything. But if the press is already shoved too close to the auto for one reason or another, it's going to make it slightly tighter. But the typical setup, you do not have to move it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, at the amount of space, the extra tag print area it takes up on the pallet. Well, if you had that tight of a shop, I'd be kind of frightened anyways. Like, I mean, if you're talking, you got that much space to get through safely when the press is spinning. But I mean, some people have tight shops, so it's fair enough.
And excuse me for always trying to find a sales point here, but think about this as well. When we're talking about shops that are tight on space, you now can get rid of a standalone machine that's only purpose is to do the neck tags.
Yep.
All of a sudden, now you've got all of this is just put right onto your machine, and it all gets done right in one spin of the carousel. So
absolutely. Now that whole department.
Now all of a sudden, you've gotten a whole piece taken out.
That whole department. Well, all right. I want to encourage everybody to reach out and thank you for everybody's time today that attended this webinar. We will have this webinar. It's being recorded, so we'll have this ready. You know, people can review it later. Can probably put it on you guys' Livingston Systems site when we get it all wrapped up. But thanks everybody, and yeah, definitely check out the TagBot because it's going to.
Thanks so much for M&R to put this thing on, and thanks for your time, Tom.
All righty, take care.
Thank you so much, Bill.
Thanks, Ron.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Darren.
All right, have a great day, everybody.
Yep.